Hi everybody. So I'm just going to continue where I left off, creating the original 1980 strawberry shortcake doll. All the supplies were mentioned in part 1, so if you're not sure, please do check out part 1. She was originally created by @KarinaLoomBands from Instagram. In part 1, we created the legs, the body, and the arms. So you should already have that done. What you see here is what we'll be finishing off today in this video. I will have a third part just for her apron. So I'm going to continue, and I do hope you enjoy. For round 1 of the head, we're going to do 5 single crochets in the magic ring. So I'm going to use the bottom part of my loom, using the skin color, and I take my first band and wrap it around 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to pull 5 bands through, one at a time. So reaching in, bringing the first band through, end on your hook, and bring the top loop over. Bring it to the side. Going back in to bring my second band through, put the end on your hook, and the top 2 loops over. Bring it to the side, and continue. Third band through, end on your hook, and top 2 loops over. And continue 2 more times. Top 2 loops, and 1 more time. Top 2 loops. Remove off the loom, move your bands around, and you should have 5 stitches. Attach your stitch marker to the band that's around your hook. For round 2, we're going to increase to 10 stitches. So right now you have 5 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I have 5 sections with double bands. So I'm going to do an increase, 2 bands in each chain, and then you'll have 10 stitches when you're done. So going in the first chain, I'm going to bring 2 bands through, one at a time. Going back in for the second band, so that's your increase. The next chain, same thing, 2 bands, one at a time. Back in for the second band, and the next chain, repeat. Continue until you get to the stitch marker. Back in. I have 2 chains left and 2 sections left. Back in. And the last one. You should have 10 stitches. Remove your stitch marker, add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 3, we're going to increase to 15 stitches. So the pattern is a single crochet followed by an increase, single crochet followed by an increase, which you're going to repeat 5 times until you get to your stitch marker. So you'll have 15 stitches when you're done. Go in your first chain, not where it's getting pulled, and do a single crochet. I'm just going to try that again. Bring it through on your hook and slide. Chain 2 is your increase. Back in. And repeat. 1, 2. Follow the layout until you get to your stitch marker. The next chain. Back in. So you should have 15 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 4, we're going to increase to 20 stitches. So the pattern is going to be 2 single crochets followed by an increase. 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. And you're going to repeat that pattern 5 times. So you'll have 20 stitches when you're done. So I'm going to go in the first 2 chains with 1 band in each. Next chain. And the third chain is your increase. So just every third chain, you're adding 2 bands. Back in. And repeat 1, 1, 2. And again, continue until you get to your stitch marker. Back in. You can see I have 3 chains left and 3 sections left. So again, you should have 20 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 5, we're going to increase to 22 stitches. So the pattern is going to be 6 single crochets followed by an increase. So on your 7th chain, you're adding 2 bands. You're going to repeat one more time, 6 single crochets followed by an increase. And then you're going to end with 6 single crochets. So you have 22 stitches when you're done. So I'm going to go in the first 6 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, with 1 band in each. Don't go where it's getting pulled. In. On your 7th chain, add your 2 bands. Now, my 7th chain is the increase, back in, and repeat one more time. Now you should have 6 chains left. I'm so sorry about the phones. 6 chains left, 1 band in each. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. You should have 22 stitches. For the next 2 rounds, you're just going to add 1 band in each chain. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. Each pile I have 22 bands, so at the end of each round you should have 22 stitches. I'm going to start you off with round 6, and then you're going to pause the video. Don't go where it's getting pulled. First chain. And just single crochet. The next chain. So you want to pause, continue until you get to your stitch marker, and then start round 7. Come back to me when you're done. For round 8, we're going to add the eye placement. I will be using the safety eyes, so I'm going to be using a guiding band. That I will cut off later, just to find the proper placement. It helps me. If you're using the pony beads, you just want to add them on to chains 8 and chains 13. So squish through, and that's going to be your eye placement. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. I have 22 bands here. 10 and 10 is 20 and 2. So 22 stitches we're going to be doing on this round. Now for my placement of the eyes, what I'm going to be doing is just taking a band that I'm going to cut after, and I'm just going to wrap it around my hook 4 times and place it on. And the next one. So you're just adding 1 band in each chain. Don't go where it's getting pulled. And go around. Count to your 8th chain and add your first eye. Like if you don't want to use the black bands in cut or an extra band in cut, you could add a stitch marker to that band. I just find that it confuses me, so you could just basically bring a band through, even a different color band, and just do like a little slip knot to this band, or a stitch marker, remembering that those are the eye stitch markers so you don't get confused. So it's up to you. Just continue around until you get to your stitch marker. This is chain 13. Should have 22 stitches, and remove your stitch marker. For rounds 9, 10, 11, and 12, you're going to do 22 single crochets. So at the end of each round, you should have 22 stitches. In each pile, I have 22 bands. I'm going to do part of round 9 with you, and then you're going to pause the video and come back to me when you're done. You either want to leave an extra stitch marker on each round, or remember to remove your stitch marker to add it to the band that's around your hook. Now I'm going to get started, not where it's getting pulled. One band in each chain. If you are using the pony beads, you'll have one tight stitch right here. Please don't miss it. Lucky. So you just want to continue going around until you get to your stitch marker, complete the rounds, and come back to me when you're done. For round 13, we're going to decrease to 20 stitches. The pattern is going to be 2 single crochets and stitch 3 and 4 together. Then you're going to do 7 single crochets and stitch 12 and 13 together. And then you're going to end with 9 single crochets. So let's do the first part. 1 band in the first 2 chains, 1 and 2. And then we're going to stitch these 2 stitches together. And I'm going to use Nancy's decrease method. So whichever one you'd like to use. So I'm going to go in my first 2 chains with 1 band. Now a decrease. So Nancy's decrease is a cute little trick. It's a clean finish. So I'm going to grab the inside loop of the first chain and then the outside loop of the second chain. And then stitch those 2 stitches together. So one more time. Inside loop of the first chain. Outside loop of the second chain. Bring your band through both of those little loops on your hook and slide. Now I'm going to do 7 single crochets followed by a decrease. Make sure you don't go where the bands are being pulled. And now a decrease, inside loop of the first chain, outside loop of the second chain. Bring your band through both of those loops on your hook and slide. Now you should have 9 chains left. You want to add 1 band in each until you get to the stitch marker. So there you should have 20 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. Before I start round 14, which is our last round, I just want to point out is if you're using the pony beads, you want to bring them flush with the face. So you want to bring it towards the back. That's if you're using the pony beads. Or rubber bands. You want to just push it between the little V. So go to the back, the inside, and push the bands or your bead through that little V. So it's flush and it's a clean finish. To continue with round 14, our last round, you're going to do 2 single crochets followed by a decrease. And I'm using Nancy's decrease. 2 single crochets followed by a decrease. And you're going to repeat that 5 times. Your last band, you're going to do a slip knot to tie it closed. So at the end of round 14, you're going to have 15 stitches. So I'm going to get started, not where it's getting pulled. I'm going to do 2 single crochets. Stitch the 2 stitches together, inside loop and outside loop of the second chain. Repeat 2 single crochets followed by a decrease. Don't go where it's getting pulled. I repeat that because I tend to do that when I'm not filming and then I don't have enough stitches, so I can't be the only one who does that. Especially on this type of decrease, it's kind of hard to see where you were. I'm just going to repeat all the way to my stitch marker. Now this is the last stitch, so bring it through all your loops, grab the end, and slide. Remove your stitch marker. Now I'm going to add the safety eyes. I'm going to cut the bands that I have there and add some stuffing. So this placement of the safety eyes, what I'm going to do is towards the inside, beside my black little rubber band, I'm going to put one, then add the backing, and the other one towards the center. So you could either cut now. I'm going to push through my backing first, and then I'm going to cut just in case my safety eyes come out, and then I'll lose the placement. So I'm just going to hook on to bring it out and give it a tug so I don't end up cutting the face. So you want to be very careful that you don't do that. And pull them out. And the same thing with the other side. I'm just going to hook onto a piece because it's very easy to end up cutting the face and you really don't want to do that. And now I might just give it a push more and then add some stuffing. Don't overfill the face. You want it proportioned with her body. And we want her head to be wider this way, not longer. So I'm just going to push in, fluff it up. And that should be okay. We're going to make her hat now. And I'm not using beads, I'm going to end up using the wrapped bands. I'm going to use 15 red wrapped bands. So when I get to that part, I'll show you. So you could go ahead and thread 15 beads if you prefer to use a red bead. And I'd probably use an E bead. So for her hat, I'm starting off with the pink color, and I'm going to do 5 single crochets in the magic ring. So taking my first band, I'm going to wrap around the bottom part of the peg 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Now our hat is very repetitive, so there's going to be some sections where I am just going to do parts of the increasing with you and you'll just follow my layout. Now bring 5 bands through one at a time. Go in, bring your band through, end on your hook and top loop over. Bring it to the side, back in for your second band, bring through, end on your hook and top 2 loops over. Bring it to the side. Continue. Top 2 and to the side. Remove off the loom, fix your bands around, and you want to attach your stitch marker to the band that's around your hook, and you should have 5 stitches. For round 2, we're going to increase on each chain around. So you're adding 2 bands, 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2. I have 5 stitches, so I have 5 sections. At the end of round 2, you're going to have 10 stitches. So going in your first chain, add 2 bands one at a time. Back in. The next chain with 2. Continue until you get to the stitch marker. Just going through the chain. I have 2 chains left, 2 sections left. You have 10 stitches and remove your stitch marker. For round 3, we're going to increase to 15 stitches. So the pattern is a single crochet followed by an increase, single crochet followed by an increase, and you're going to repeat that 5 times. So let's go in our first chain with a single crochet. Chain 2 is an increase. Back in. And repeat 1, 2. Continue until you get to your stitch marker. Remove your stitch marker, add it to the band that's around your hook, and you should have 15 stitches. For round 4, we're going to increase to 20 stitches. So the pattern this time is going to be 2 single crochets followed by an increase, 2 single crochets followed by an increase, and you're going to repeat that 5 times until you get to the stitch marker. So every third stitch, you're adding 2 bands. So I'm going to do part of this with you, and then you're going to pause the video and come back to me when you're done. Don't go where it's getting pulled. First 2 chains, 1 band. Third stitch, 2 bands. It's your increase. And repeat 1, 1, 2. And repeat 1, 1, 2. You want to continue this pattern 3 more times. Pause the video and come back to me when you're done. For round 5, we're going to increase to 25 stitches now. So the pattern, we're just adding another single crochet here. So 3 single crochets followed by an increase. 1, 1, 1, 2. You're going to repeat this pattern 5 times. So every 4th stitch, you're adding 2 bands. So I'm going to do part of it with you, and then you're going to pause the video to do the rest. So you want to copy the layout. So I'm going to do 3 single crochets, 1, 1, 1, and then my increase. Now I'm at the 4th chain, you're adding 2 bands. Back in. And repeat 1, 1, 1, 2. So you're going to continue until you get to the stitch marker, pause the video, and come back to me when you're done. For round 6, we're going to increase to 30 stitches. So I'm going to do 4 single crochets now, followed by an increase. 4 single crochets, followed by an increase. So every 5th stitch, you're adding 2 bands. You're going to repeat this pattern 5 times. So you'll have 30 stitches when you're done. I'm going to do the first 2 parts with you, and then you're going to pause the video, continue, and come back to me when you're done. So I'm going to go in the first chain. I'm going to do 4 single crochets. The 5th chain is the increase. Back in. And repeat 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. Continue until you get to the stitch marker, so you're just going to repeat the pattern 3 more times. Pause the video and come back to me. Now this is going to be our first round with the beads or the rubber bands. I am going to do 5 single crochets. This is going to be my band with the bead, followed by an increase. 5 single crochets, followed by an increase, and you're going to repeat this 5 times. So every 6th stitch, you're adding 2 bands. Every 5th stitch, you're adding the bead with the band or the rubber band wrapped. Now I'm going to be wrapping these as I'm looming, so I'm going to take that one slow. If you can't do that, all you want to do is take your hook and wrap your red color band 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you have 4 loops. And then you're going to slide that onto your rubber band, the pink color. And that is going to represent that section. And I'm going to do that while I'm looming. So I'm going to start off with the 4 here. Don't go where it's getting pulled. So this is going to be 1, the next chain, 1, the 3rd chain, 1, the 4th chain is 1. Now your 5th chain is where you're going to take your rubber band, wrap it around your hook 4 times, 1, 2, 3, and 4, the red color, and slide it onto the pink band. So you have it on, supporting with my finger and the other end on my hook. Bring it through your chain and just crochet normally. So I just did 5 single crochets. My 6th chain is the increase. Back in. We're going to repeat with the pattern. 5 single crochets, your 5th chain has your band with the bead or your rubber band, and your 6th chain is your increase. Red band, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Bring it through. And my 6th chain again is my increase. Repeat and follow the layout until you get to your stitch marker. So you should have 35 stitches, remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 8, you're just going to do 35 single crochets, 1 band in each chain, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. I have 35 bands here, 10, 10, 10, so there's 30 and then 5. So I'm going to do a couple of stitches with you. Don't go where it's getting pulled. 1 band in each until you get to the stitch marker. Oop. Make sure when you get to your beads or your rubber bands, their stitch might be a little bit tiny. Please don't skip the little stitch. You get stretched with the band so it becomes smaller. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can see the little stitch right there. Don't skip it. So I think you can pause the video, continue until you get to your stitch marker, and come back to me when you're done. I have rounds 9 and rounds 10 here. For round 9, you're going to be adding your band with the bead or your band with the rubber band. I will be adding them on, the layout will look like this. We're going to do 35 single crochets. So I have 10, 10, and 10, 30, and then 5. The band with the bead is going to go on chains 1, 7, 15, 21, and 28. So you can copy the layout. I'm going to do this round with you. And for round 10, you're going to do 35 single crochets. So I have 35 bands in this pile. So to get started, I'm going to go in the first chain, take my red band and wrap 4 times, and side on. So now I'm just going to follow the layout. The next bead is on chain 7. So that was 1, and this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We continue. My phone was just ringing, so I hope I'm able to cut that out. Just continue with the pattern all the way to your stitch marker. Remove your stitch marker, add it to the band that's around your hook, and then you can start with round 10, 1 band in each chain, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. Don't go where it's getting pulled, and you want to just continue until you get to the stitch marker. So at the end of this round, you should still have 35 stitches. So you want to pause the video, continue, and come back to me when you're done. For round 11, we're going to do 35 single crochets and adding the band with the bead again, or your rubber band. I have 35 bands here, 10, 10, 10, so I have 30, and then 5. The band with the red band or the bead is going to go on chains 3, 10, 17, 24, and 31. So let's get started, one band in each chain. I think I'm going to do the first row with you, and then you can pause the video and just copy the layout. Wrapped 4 times. So I've just done the first 10 stitches. You want to continue until you get to the stitch marker. Come back to pause the video and come back to me when you're done. For round 12, this pattern is going to be a little bit different than I would normally do. I'm going to start off with a decrease followed by a single crochet. What I'm going to do, I'll get back to that in a second. For each chain, I'm just grabbing the inside loops only, all the way around. So I'm going to start with this part really slowly. So you're going to do a decrease followed by a single crochet. Decrease followed by a single crochet. And the decrease is just stitching the 2 stitches together. You're going to repeat this part 11 times. So I have 6, a row of 6, and a row of 5. Your last 2 stitches where your stitch marker is, the last 2 you'll be doing a decrease. So that's how you're going to be ending. Let's start off with this part, and just so you can see, I am switching to the red color. Starting off with a decrease on the inside loops only. You want to start off with a slip stitch because you're changing color. So you're just grabbing the inside loops only, 1, and then the next one, 2. Changing color, so we'll just start with bringing our band through all the loops, making sure that you don't tighten it, just loose. Now, a single crochet. Don't go where you just went, and bring your band through that one little loop and single crochet. Repeat decrease, just the inside loops only. Bring your band through. The next chain over. If I didn't mention, sorry, you'll have 23 stitches when you're done. Again, decrease followed by a single crochet. Inside loops only. Continue with the pattern until you get to the end. Oops, I dropped my stitches. I'm just going to pick them up. and my last 2 stitches together. So you have 23 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 13, I'm still using the red color, and I'm going to do 23 single crochets. 1 band in each chain, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. Last band slip knot to tie it closed. When starting, don't start in the pink bands and don't start in your little slip knot. Go in your chain. And 1 band in each until you get to the stitch marker. Last band, bring it through all the loops and tie it closed. For round 14, I'm switching back to the pink color, and I have 23 bands here, so we're going to do 23 stitches and grabbing the outside loops only. So you'll want to see how I grab. I have 10 and 10 is 20 and 3. Now I'm going to find the center front, and that's where I'm going to start, and I'm going to do a reverse stitch. So I'm going to count 10 to the front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. With my hook, I'm grabbing the outside stitch only, and I'm going to go around, grabbing just the one on the outside. Going to the next stitch over, outside loop only, take your time, next stitch, just the first one right here on the top that's facing the outside, outside, and you're going to go all the way around. So you're just grabbing the one stitch of the red, go between the chain, I'm on the stitch before my slip knot. So you want to make sure you go on the other side of your slip knot and continue around. So I'm stopping at the stitch before I start where I started. Now you could attach a stitch marker to this band that's around your hook. I don't think you need it, but at this point in time, I'm not very sure. For round 15, we're going to do 22 single crochets, grabbing the outside loop only and going in reverse. So I have 22 bands here, 10 and 10 is 20 and 2. So where you want to start is where it's getting pulled, your first stitch, and grabbing the outside loop only, and we're going to go in reverse. Next, outside loop only, which is called a back loop only too. I started my crochet patterns saying outside loop, so it's the same thing. The one facing the outside. All the way around, and you'll end up back where you started on your previous round. Oops. For round 16, it's our last round of the hat, and we're going to do 22 single crochets, and we're going to be going around. I'm going through the chains, and I'm going to go from the inside out. So I have 22 bands here, 10 and 10 is 20 and 2. So you're going in the first chain where your band is getting pulled from the inside towards the outside. Bring your band through. Inside towards the outside, and you're going to go all the way around until you get to your stitch marker. Last band slip knot. If you crochet from the outside towards the inside, the stitches will look reverse and it will start to fold towards the inside. So try to make sure you're going from the inside towards the out. A little bit awkward. So I'm at the last stitch and we're going to do a slip knot. I'm at the last chain. Bring your band through all the loops, grab the end and tie it off. And now I'm just going to move around the bands at the back, not really the front ones because you don't want to end up stretching those bands right there. Now we're going to sew on her hair strands. So if your hair strands are on something other than a hook, you'd want to pause the video and make sure that you slide all of the hair pieces onto your hook. So what I'm going to do is use 17 bands because I have 17 hair strands, and I'm going to do slip stitches to each one to get them on. I'm going to be turning the hat inside out. And now I'm going to be bringing my bands through. You'll see these red little stitches all the way around. Those are the stitches that I'm going to be using, and they're towards the bottom. So I'm going to be attaching them this way. Where you have your end piece of the pink here and that stitch, I'm going to count 3 stitches over. So starting at this one, you can see the little pink, 1, 2, and 3. That's where I'm going to start. Just grabbing that one little red. Now I'm going to bring my first band through that stitch. Supporting with your finger, you want to slide on a hairpiece. Grab the end of that band that we grabbed and slide. The next one over, bring your band through both of those stitches, keep it on your finger, and slide a hairpiece on. Grab the end and slide. And you're just going to continue that all the way around until you run out of hair extensions or hair pieces. You're doing little slip stitches. Grabbing that little red band. I'm going to move these up. Your last band, you want to just pull it tighter so we can close it off. So this is my last one, last hair extension, and just tighten it. You want to turn the hat inside out, or the correct way. Now we're going to attach her head onto the body, and I'm going to use 15 rubber bands. I just want to point out that I have a little bit of an oil that is from the Body Shop perfume, and it is a strawberry. I did put some in the stuffing, just so you know. It ended up being, it smells really nice. I did this with the other strawberry shortcake too as well, and just a little bit of a smell. So it's up to you if you want to spray a little bit of perfume or something inside. So now I'm just going to attach, we're going to find the back of the body, fold it in half, and find the band that's going sideways. So that will be your center back. Put your hook through. You want to do that for the head too as well. So now the eyes are here, find your center back, folding it in half nice and evenly, and find that band that's going sideways and put your hook through. So I have 15 bands here. We are going to just single crochet the bands around. So bring it through the head and through the body. Grab the end and slide. Now I'm going to go through the body on the next chain over and the next chain over on the head. And bring your band through the chains on your hook and slide. Just single crochet. Make sure you're not skipping any of the stitches. And make sure you're not grabbing any of the stuffing. You want to pause just for a second and make sure that the head is going on straight and it's not crooked at this point in time. Your last band, you just want to bring it through all the loops to tie it closed. I grab some stuffing. Bring it through all the loops and tie it off. I'm going to attach the arms now. Each arm you're going to need an extra band to tie it off. So you could do this after we attach the hat. I want to do it now. So what I'm going to do is put this, you could have it this way, you could have it this way, position the arm that you, the way that you would like to have it. I'm going to kind of go on an angle. You're going to bring 3 of these bands through 3 of the stitches on the actual body and just single crochet. Bringing it through. Bringing it through, and I'm going to hook on to one of the sewing bands that I have here at the end of the arm and tie it off. And the other side, we want to make sure that it's even with this arm. Before I tie it off, I'm just going to make sure and grab onto the sewing band. Now what we're going to do is attach your hat, and first we're going to be making the little bangs here. So all it is a cap wrapped 4 times. We're going to make 2 of them. I'm going to use 4 bands. A cap of red, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and make a chain. Push it up and make 1 more. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and a chain of 1. And push it up. Now you want to attach the hat, making sure that all the hair strands are facing the bottom. Now you don't want it too low so it covers the eye. You kind of want it at the top so you're giving room for a chain of 1. Making sure all of your hair strands are out. So we'll give you an example. So now with these 2 chains, I am going to be grabbing the hat and the face. So I'm going to be going through the inside loop of the hat and grabbing a chain on the face. Might be a little bit awkward this way, so I'm just going to go from the face maybe and then through that bottom loop of the hat. Just grabbing the bottom one. Now you're going to need a band to bring it through. So you're going to do the exact same thing as we did with the hair pieces. Bring it through, support with your finger, and slide your hair piece on. Grab the end and slide. Let's do that to the other side. I'm going to grab the head first, the stitch on the head, and then the inside loop only. And bring your band through all of the loops so we can dye it off. Now I'm going to use 5 pink bands to tie her hair down, to tie the hat down. So I have 4 and then 5. And I'm going to do slip knots. So I'm going to go bring this down a little bit. And I'm going to go, you're going to see your red stitches in between. I'm going to do 5 evenly spaced slip knots to tie it to the head. So I'm going to go through this chain and I'm going to grab a stitch on the head and do a slip knot. You can use pink or the red. Because I'm grabbing here, I might want to use the red color. So if you're going to grab up here, I probably would recommend using the pink color. So let's get 5 red. I'd recommend the red color, sorry. There's so much detail in this. Okay, so I have 5 bands and I'm going to do a slip knot. Somehow I got away with the pink bands on here. So there's one. Now I'm going to do about here on either side. So going through the stitch on the hat and then grabbing a stitch on the head. and about here. Now you have 2 more bands left, so we're going to secure it on either side about here, 1 and 1. You don't want to do here in the middle because this one is already secured with the hat down. So I'm just going to grab a stitch and then a stitch on the head and slip knot. And about on the other side. Now all these bands you can just hide by going through and hiding all your slip knots. This one too, this one you can just bring it through. You can hide the ones on the arms by going through the arms and the one on the neck. So you want to hide this, hide these. The one on the skirt, you can just kind of bring through your little chain here and then bring it through some of these little knots that you'll have around just to hide it. I just want to point out about hiding the little slip knots. And you can do all that. Now what I'm going to do is attach the hat down to the head. So what I'm going to do is put the hat flat down and you're going to see your magic ring. I'm going to use 2 pink bands and I'm going to do a slip knot. So your magic ring, I'm going to do one in front and one in the back to the stitch that's attached to the magic ring. So I'm not grabbing the magic ring. There's the hat and I'm going to reach down and grab a stitch on the head and do a slip knot. So that was in the back. Now towards the front. I'm trying to grab stitch on the head and a slip knot. And again, you can just hide these little slip knots by going through. Now I'm going to attach the mouth and then I'm going to attach the strawberry. The strawberry is found on my channel. Link is down below in the description box. So for the mouth, you're going to need 1 red band or the color of your choice, and I'm going to use 1 skin color. For the mouth, you want to find the placement. I'm going to go through 2 of the stitches or 2 of the chains here, trying not to grab the stuffing, and I'm going to bring my red band through and tie it off with a slip knot of the skin color. Going through the side of the face, coming out and bringing it through. For the strawberry, you want to find your placement, and basically I'm just going to use 1 red band. I'm going to find the back of the strawberry that I want facing the back, and I'm going to grab a stitch, 1 of the chains, and find the placement, and I'm going to grab 1 of the chains that is right beside the magic ring, and then grab another stitch on the strawberry and do a slip knot. Now you may need another stitch. I was able to get away with just one of using 1 rubber band, and then hide your rubber band. So all we have left is to make her apron. And we're going to do the shoelaces at the bottom. Now we're going to create her little shoelace and her bow. What I'm going to do is use the bottom part of my loom. I've already made 1. I'm going to use 2 white bands and I'm going to go across the bottom peg. or I'm going to use 2 pegs. Now going underneath, grabbing one end and the other end, and slide. Try not to pull here. You want to remove off the loom very carefully so it doesn't twist, and then give it a tug. And now I'm going to use 2 caramel brown to match the shoe color. Those will be my slip knots, and 2 white. What I'm going to do is find the center front. You got to imagine we're going to put the bow at the top. So the shoelace is going to go a stitch down. So I'm going to find the center, and I'm going to go through 2 of the stitches from either side, or 1 of the stitches actually. Maybe 2. So I'm going to go out and 1. So I went through 2. And you want to find that it's straight. You're going to bring the white band through, grab the end, and tie it off with the brown color band and bring it through. Now take your bow. You're going to have the bow facing down, and I'm going to go through just the brown stitch right at the top here. So it's centered with, so I'm going to have it faced down, so I'm going to bring my end through. Bring the end through and wrap it over the bow. So bring the bow through. And then I'm just going to do a figure 8, twist it, and bring it over again. Bring the bow through again, just to secure it. And you can do that to the other shoe. Now you just want to fix her hair pieces up. So if they're kind of going up and they're twisting, all you want to do is just make sure that your bands aren't twisted inside and they're not overlapped. So that's what you want to do. So this one's kind of overlapped, so I'm just going to open it up and then kind of fixing the hair pieces. So this one's overlapped. So you're just opening up basically the chain. Like here. You're just basically opening up the chains here. This one is twisted, so I'm just going to open it up. And try your best to fix. And then you can just play around with those ones.